My guest today is the riff master in one of the most exciting metal bands in the last 2 decades. He stands as an influential rhythm guitarist, having co-founded Mastodon 25 years ago and helped elevate them from underground Atlanta sludge metalers to Grammy-winning mainstream success. He also made the journey from a Star Wars-obsessed teenager to a Star Wars-obsessed adult. Welcome to this episode, Mastodon's Bill Kelliher.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's my honor to be here. Thank you very much.
My honor as well. How are you doing, Bill?
Man, I cannot complain. We have been, we've gone through a lot of changes in the past, I guess this year, but all for the good. I mean, we are the strongest band we've ever been right now. And this is on every level: writing, touring, performing, just being friends and hanging out. And it's like honestly, it's like being in a relationship with someone for so long that was not really something you were that stoked about anymore. Relationships get old; it happens, and you get a new wife, maybe, or a new girlfriend, or something. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I can really relate it to. But it's a genesis of just a new band. You know what I mean? Like, we are just all firing on the same level finally. And it's the band I've always wanted to be in, and it's finally here. So we're just taking full advantage of it. I'm in Eindhoven now, and at the Dynamo Festival, and just honored to be playing for 25 years, and people still want to pay money to see our band perform. Mm-hmm. And now we can really give them 110%.
Nick Johnston obviously was a guest on this show as well. And when I first read that Nick was going to play with you, for a second I was like, oh, huh? And I was like, oh, maybe it makes sense, Like, can you tell me a little bit, how did that go? How did you end up asking him? Because he's in my top 3, maybe top 1 players around,
He is freaking good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And more importantly, he's just very humble, and he's very extremely excited to be where he is with us, and he fits right in with us, and we're all pretty laid back guys, and don't take ourselves too seriously. Our music, I live and breathe Mastodon every day, but Nick is surely becoming one of those same people. At first it was weird, honestly. It was different, because he's not the guy that's been there for 25 years, but he's quickly adapting to fit right in with us, and we're writing together like crazy, and he's just always so excited about going on. Mm-hmm. He's like a kid in a candy store when he goes on stage. He's like, yeah, I can't wait to get out there and grab the candy. But we found him, I believe he was doing some overdub guitar work with Brendan Smalls from Death Clock out in LA years ago, and I think Braun was out there visiting with Brendan, who's a friend of ours, and he heard Nick in the studio, and he's like, God, who is that guy? That guy's really, really good. And he just started thinking, that's just, if something ever happens, then maybe we could play with that guy someday, I think. And it just sort of
So there's basically 2 things. He's both a great player and also, like you said, a humble human being. Yeah. Like, how can you elaborate on because it's both very important, right?
Of course. You guys. Your heart has to be into what you're doing, especially if you're an artist. You can't just get up there and fake it. I know if I were to fake it, if I didn't want to do this anymore, I would stop doing it. But I love my band, and I love all the hard work we've put into it. It pays off. You know what I mean? You have to, every day you have to do something positive for your band. And
I don't want to get into a bashing at all, but I'm just very curious. Did you feel with Brent that wasn't the case anymore then?
I just feel like we, people go in separate paths, what I mean? And sometimes you're doing something for the wrong reasons, it's just like being in a relationship with someone, and you want to get divorced, but you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to tell them. It's kind of similar, honestly, just wish the best for that guy. Just hope he can find what he likes to do, and we're going to keep on doing what we like to do.
But I can imagine as well with Nick entering, like you guys were together like for 25 years, that must change your perspective on what can we do with this band as well, right? Or not. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Mastodon has always been kind of genre defying a little bit. We're not just, if someone asks me, what kind of music do you play? It depends on, my answer depends on their age. Like if you're over like 55 or 60, it's like, we're a metal band. And I just ended at that. But if it's someone who's like, in their 20s, like, what kind of music do you guys play? It's like, well, it's very, it's not just metal. It's, we have a lot of prog influence. We have all kinds of influences, I mean, for me, I grew up on punk rock. That's what taught me how to play guitar. So I like fast, repetitious, and also like poppy kind of stuff, like Weezer. There's even like, I don't know. There's a lot of grunge stuff. Alice in Chains. There's like Thin Lizzy. I grew up on Rush and Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and the Melvins and Mudhoney and like all the Bad Brains, like all kinds of different types of music. So I've always felt like our band, as long as the riff is there, it could be whatever. It doesn't always have to be, we have to drop tune or we have to play at this speed or whatever. As long as it's something that's, sounds cool to everyone and it's challenging in a musical way and it's just not the same rehashed kind of stuff, then that's what our band has been. And it's, that's what I love about it. I can bring whatever to the table and be like, hey, I like this riff. Do you guys like it?
But somebody entering after all these years, does that mean? Like, I was trying to ask, how does it change your musical perspective? What can we do with this band? Because obviously it's somebody leaving and somebody entering. I can imagine you get new kinds of ideas or refreshed energy or whatever.
I just feel like, refreshed energy, of course. I just feel like we've been given a booster shot of like adrenaline, like kaboom.
Yeah.
Like now you can, it's kind of a clean slate. Like now we can really open our minds and really just kind of write whatever we feel like writing without worrying about what another person's going to think, because that was a real challenge for a long time, and now I feel like it's just like a new fresh start. It's the easiest way to put it.
Let's start at the start.
We'll start at the beginning
of your musician life. Like you were 15 when you got your first guitar, right?
Yeah, when I was 13, 14, all my guy friends, everyone had a guitar. Whether it was their stepfathers or their dads or their parents bought them one or whatever, but they would all be playing and I would just be sitting there watching, and when it was my turn, let me play, and I would try to strum and do all this stuff, but I was way behind everyone else. Everyone else had lessons. I never took any guitar lessons. I wanted lessons. My parents said, well, you can start on the piano. I was like, I don't want to play the freaking piano. I want to play the electric guitar and be a rock star, So finally, my father was an immigrant from Ireland, and when he came over, he worked his ass off and got into the hi-fi business. So there was always like the latest in, all like the latest turntables and records that he would be playing, and the CD player in the 80s when that first came out, and he'd be blasting like the Beatles and some weird jazz and Sade. Played a lot of Sade.
Really? I thought I was hearing.
Yeah, you can hear some of that in there. But there was a day when my 15th birthday, and I got a guitar, and I was so stoked. I mean, I would be completely lost without that if my dad never bought that $100 guitar for me. Star Force, it was called, and I just started.
It's a great feat. I had my first at my 14th birthday, and I don't know what it is, but it changed the world, really, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I was just getting out of like playing with toys, and I was really into like ninjutsu and like dressing up like ninjas with my friends, like making weapons. And I have pictures from the day I got the guitar, and I'm in my ninja suit with all my friends, and so are they. We all have guitars, and then now I'm in the club. I got the guitar, so. My friends, they were all always playing scales, playing solos. And I remember learning Crazy Train, like the main riff, the chorus. And I watched my buddy Bernie play it. And I said, I almost gave up. I was like, I just can't play like you guys. And when I said, if I can learn that riff, then I'm going to keep playing. And I learned it, and very quickly. And I was like, oh my God. Goosebumps, just like, oh my God, so cool. So Bernie and I played a lot together. That's when like he introduced me to, like Slayer, Metallica, and I was into punk rock, and I couldn't play Rush really, Rush like Alex Lifeson or King Crimson or the stuff. The only thing I knew was the stuff that was on the radio, which is like Van Halen, and everybody was into Van Halen. That was the 80s. Van Halen was the shit. Everyone wanted to play like Eddie. But I accidentally stumbled upon punk rock, Dead Kennedys in particular, Frankenchrist album, and I loved it. All my friends thought it was the worst music in the world, and I secretly loved it. So I went into this rabbit hole, and this is before computers. Before this town I lived in, there was no music, punk rock, none of that stuff. Nobody knew what it was. So it was so cool when I would go out of state, like I went to Boston, and I found a record store, and I found a little tiny section that had like the Ramones, the Dead Kennedys, MDC, like all these bands, Bad Religion. And I was like, what is this world of like this underground music? So I would start buying the records, but I'd have to hide them from my parents. But I would learn all these Ramones songs, and I immediately started a cover band of Black Flag, Circle Jerks, Ramones, Sex Pistols. I found the Sex Pistols were the shit to me because I could play those simple chords, but it taught me to play. I play along to the records, But once I got better at guitar, then I moved on to like Metallica and Slayer.
But did Sex Pistols also taught you how to have attitude?
Oh, absolutely. I was a 15-year-old boy in the States. I was like everything, even though I came from a very wealthy, we always had food on the table, and we had a nice house and cars and went to nice schools and all that. But I was a rebel, of course. It wasn't good enough for me. Oh, fuck the system. Fuck Ronald Reagan. I was a punker. So that was just the attitude, But the music really spoke to me, especially the very deep political Jello Biafra's lyrics. And then there was like Black Flag, which was kind of more like dark party music almost. But the riffs of every song is what kept me going, because they were very simple chords, but just the way that they were put together, those songs like TV Party Tonight and Jealous Again and Drinking and Driving and, the My War album. Just I owned every album, Damaged. I was just like, this is really dark and weird. And Henry Rollins, became the singer. And it was just like, yeah, it was this punk movement when I grew up in a little tiny town, but there was a major city called Rochester, New York, that was 20 miles away. And I would, once I got old enough, I would go up there and start going to these like house shows and I was very nervous and I was just a shy young kid, and I started piercing my ears, and I wanted to be this like kind of punk rocker at the phase I was going through, And I had attitude, and I had the guitar now, and I had an amp, and I could make noise. I wasn't very good at playing, but I eventually got into a band that there was a guy named Todd who played in one of the biggest bands in Rochester, and he discovered me. We quickly became very good friends, but he saw me play and he said, "Man, you got some, you don't belong in that band. Like you're better than that. Like you should go jam with these guys." So I feel like everything happens in sequence for a reason. So once he put me in touch with this band, I was looking for a guitar player in Rochester, like in the city. I moved into the city. I started playing with these guys, started playing shows in the city, writing my own music, learning along the way. And I was growing up too. I was like 18, 19, 20 years old, out of high school, living in the city now. I guess I'd be 18. I graduated, so it'd be like 19, 20, getting gigs and playing with other bands. It's kind of seeing how it all worked, and I just loved it.
But you said some songs were too difficult for me or wasn't any good. But what was your talent then, you think?
My buddy Bernie was like, you're like a fistful of power chords, whatever that means, just playing like really, really fast and accurate like chords, like power chords. Like we used to jam Slayer constantly. Like we'd play every Slayer song. We'd try to play every Metallica song, and we were pretty good at it, But I just started, I would start to drop tune, like drop D, because like all of a sudden now grunge is coming up in the early 90s. And bands like Soundgarden are like this cool mixture of punk and metal, Where before it was either one or the other. You're either a punker or you're a metalhead. But now there's like this cool movement called grunge. And I was like, this is perfect. I'm perfect. I'm right in the center of it all. You know, Alice in Chains and Mudhoney, Nirvana, and the whole AMREP label movement, bands like Helmet and Jesus Lizard and Halo of Flies and Hammerhead, Butthole Surfers, like, and then there was Lollapalooza. So, you know, even the like Chili Peppers back then were fucking awesome. It was like, and then Ministry and 24/7 Spies and Living Color and all that stuff. I was like, wow, there's so much cool music, and the Pixies, you know, coming out right now. And I was into all of it. I was soaking it all in. And I know that all that stuff, yeah, I was never really like, oh, I only listen to metal. You know, I'm like, if it's good music, I enjoy it. So it all rubbed off on my playing. And the more bands I would join and the more other guitar players I would play with, the better my skills would be, because I would have to catch up with them. So eventually, I think it was 1992 or 93, I had already had a few bands and I had a name for myself in the city. Very small town. So it wasn't like we were really never touring or anything, just playing the local bars and stuff like that. But it was fun. It was all learning experience. And then I saw Braun's band, which is called Lethargy back in the day.
Yeah.
Which is very, very avant-garde, like just super, super technical, different than your typical death metal bands. Because I didn't care for, you know, dark, low-tune death metal stuff with screamy vocals. I didn't really care about it. But when I saw Lethargy play, I was like, oh my God, where are these guys from? And they're from here. You've just never seen them. And I was like, holy crap, these guys are really tight and good. And they're playing a unique style of like just very syncopated guitar, single notes, slidey notes, big heavy power chords, and just weird harmonized all over the neck, just oddball stuff, almost like I don't know, like a Mike Patton project, sort of, but more metal and rooted in rhythm and stuff like that. But like, you know, that then they needed a guitar player, and I became friends with Braun and Eric and Adam, who were the guys in Lethargy, and I joined. I kind of jokingly was like, oh, I'll try out. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to play that stuff because it's so wild and hard to play. But I did my homework, and I got in the band and was in the band for a few years, and we did some records, and I just got better because I got to play with Eric Burke, and Eric's he's a phenomenal guitar player.
But I'm trying. Sorry that I'm pausing here, because I asked you what is your talent, and I'm thinking, oh, what do I know now? Maybe not, maybe not yet. Like, is your talent hard work then, or maybe realizing, okay, this is what I might be good at. So because it's easy to, if you see Eddie Van Halen, I want to do that. Nobody
I can say
succeeds.
I can say for sure that I never in a million years thought that I'd be sitting here on your podcast. No, I mean, like winning a Grammy, touring with Iron Maiden, touring with Metallica, doing this for a living. Never set out to do this. I just thought the American dream, whatever, go to school, get a job. But I didn't go to school. I got a job. It was a pretty decent job at a factory doing whatever. And I was in 3 or 4 bands, and I was playing out. I had a girlfriend who's now my wife, but this is, you know, talking the early 90s. I was just a naive kid. I didn't know that I thought you had to go to like Berklee School of Music for 10 years to even be considered to be in a band. You had to be extremely talented. I was very shy. So I just really, you know, when I was doing my own bands, when I joined the band Lethargy, it wasn't my band per se, so I didn't do a lot of hard work for it, even as much as I enjoyed it. But the other bands I was in, like Butter Slacks, Lunch Lady, Girdle, I had all these other like side bands, and I definitely tried to work hard for them and write as much material and stuff like that. But I didn't know how to go on tour. We didn't have the money to go into a studio, because even at like $300 a day, well, that was really expensive when you're making $50 a week working and trying to go to school. And it was, because I did go to part-time to school, paid for by myself, but it was, it was really hard times back then. No one had any money to put into it, because I just didn't believe that it would go anywhere. I thought that Warner Brothers would come knocking on your door if they saw you at the local pub. But I'm like, that's not how it works. So there was definitely a disconnect with that. So, once Braun and I, skip a few years ahead, and it's at like 98 when we joined that band, Today Is the Day. That only did then I start to see the inner workings of like, oh, it's just booking a tour and getting into a van and driving to the next city and just kind of showing up and like, but I didn't have no idea how to contact people, especially without the internet back then. Like who do I contact to book a show? And we have a couple tapes out. We don't have any CDs because CDs are expensive to make back then, like $10 each. So it was a lot of learning, so by the time, we had done the Today Is the Day thing from 98 till 99, and I said, we can do this on our own. This is not really going our way, the way that we want it to be. I was just kind of a throwaway extra person, I felt like. So I was like, I was more of a leader then. I was like, I want to start my own band. I want to be in control. I know how to do it now. I've seen it. I see how you do it. I've met so many people.
Yet you mentioned twice before I was shy. And now you said I was kind of wanted to be a leader. Well, what made you overcome that shyness then?
Well, alcohol has a lot to do with it. And becoming a full-blown alcoholic, I think. But
how did you learn to become not shy without alcohol then?
That's a whole nother podcast. Well, I can get to that. I learned a lot from being in Today Is the Day, and I just kind of, I just learned to be nice to a lot of people and just be myself, be friendly with people and write people's names down, network. And, we know someone now, without touring, I would never, without being in a band, I would never come to the Netherlands or never, it just wasn't in my DNA to be traveling. It was too expensive. Why would I come over here to look at the windmills?
What are you doing here?
So, that's after being in Today's the Day, I kind of was like, because I was getting up there. I was almost 30, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? My wife she's very intelligent and academic, and she is she works for the Centers for Disease Control now as an epidemiologist. And I always knew that about her, that she was going to do something really great. And she one day just took me aside and said, what are you going to do with your life? Remember the old Twisted Sister video? And they're like, I want to rock. That was me, my answer. I want to be in a band. I want to make records. I want to write songs. I want to tour. I want to do all these things. And she's like, then do it.
Yeah.
What are you doing sitting around in Rochester, like working at a factory?
Man, that's I get goosebumps because it's very important to have somebody on that moment in your life asking you that.
Yeah.
Pushing you.
I had no idea. I was just, I was complacent. If she was happy, I was happy. But she was like, I'm not living in this little town anymore. I got to get out. I'm going to move to Atlanta. You can come with me, but you got to do your own thing. You got to be you, And I said, okay. So I went to Atlanta, and this was actually before the Today Is the Day thing. I went there in 97, and it didn't work out for me because I just could not find anyone to play with because I was like this new, before I was a big fish in a small pond in Rochester, but then moving to Atlanta, big pond, small fish, and nobody wanted to give me the time of day. So I ended up, that's when the Today's the Day connection happened. I moved back and we joined that band out of Massachusetts. And then, when that band kind of fell apart over in Europe on our Neurosis Voivod tour, I'd always had it in the back of my head, like, I'm just going to move back to Atlanta and I'm hopefully going to bring Braun with me and we can start up something brand new and fresh. Because I'd already met Brent. I hadn't met Troy yet, but I knew Brent. And he was like, man, you're in Today's Day. It's awesome. I was like, not for long, believe me. Because I would go to visit my wife in Atlanta from Boston like once a month or something when I wasn't on tour. And I got to know him and I was like, I'm not going to be in the band much longer. I'm just waiting for this tour to be over. And sure enough, when I moved down there, I called him up. And then he's like, well, I got a bass player named Troy, and then the band started, and that's when I was like, I'm taking control of my life and the band as much as I can. I'm going to get us a rehearsal spot. Braun, I got a place for you to live. I got you. I know where you can get a job. That's kind of, and I've still been that person. I feel like every day I'm either writing a song for the band, and I run our merch store. We own a building that it's a rehearsal facility. and I manage that, which kind of manages itself, but it's, there's a lot of renters there and there's problems and stuff like that. But I'm always keeping myself busy. And, I definitely couldn't have done all this while drinking. So it's like the drinking had to go. And my life is so much better now. I mean, I wouldn't be writing so much material in the past few records as if I were still drinking, because I would never want to. I'd be hungover all the time. I wouldn't want to write anything. I just want to like sleep or drink more. And I finally, got over that.
Was it a difficult part, or?
Yeah, it was. I was in the hospital in 2008 in London. I had to cancel a whole tour. I had to drop out because I had pancreatitis, and they're like, "You're going to die if you drink anymore." And when you tell that to an alcoholic, they still don't stop drinking, even if they say you're going to die. So I kept drinking, got sick again. And then my wife was like, "You got to stop drinking." Like, got on my ass. So, it's been a long journey of, I have a year here, I have 6 months here, I have 3 weeks here. But now I'm at 3 years, and I'm like, just the other day I surpassed that, and I don't even think about alcohol at all.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you. It's just not even in my sights. I'm just like, can't even imagine drinking now. It already hurts enough being 54 years old and trying to get out of your bunk on the bus without being impaired by alcohol the night before. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm just glad I wish I got out sooner, but it's like, I'm glad where I am now.
So, that was a big part of your life for a long time. Like how did it affect your writing music?
I mean, I still wrote.
Sorry, what I was trying to ask was the quitting. How did it affect?
Well, when I every time I would get sober, I would have this anxiety. Just like, I got to get busy. I got to do something. I would dig my basement out with all the dirt. And I was doing that, and I built a studio down there. So once I had the studio, there's no excuse why you can't go down to your studio. It's about as big as this room. Go down there and be away from the world upstairs and just start laying out all your ideas. And I just got more serious. You know what I mean? I'm like, how did I sit at the bar for weeks and just sit there and just drink and talk and not do anything? So I think my own mortality really kind of kicked in. It was just like, you better get busy. You have a lot of stuff up here in your brain, like riffs you need to get out. And I just love it. I love being able to be in control of recording a riff and then overdubbing something on top of it and then showing it to Braun and being like, "What do you think of this?" Because for me, it's always been about sharing it with the guys in the band and trying to impress them. Like, what do you guys think of this? It's not about, I'm going to write for the audience, because that's when you really sell out, I believe.
You hear it as an audience as well.
If you try to stop writing for you and your band and what's the greater good for the band, and you try to take in, what are the fans going to like? That's when you're sold out, because you're not doing it for yourself anymore. You're doing it for whatever, money or fame, and every fan is different. I read those message boards and things that people say, this was their greatest record. No, this is their greatest record. No, this is their greatest song. And if you start trying to catch butterflies, or however you want to say it, you're never going to please everyone. So you have to please yourself and be like, you know what? I started writing music in this business never to win a Grammy, never to come to Europe and travel, just to make a record that I'm proud of, that I feel it sounds really cool, and just kind of get it off of it's cathartic. Get it out of your system. That's the only reason that I did it. So it's no different now. It's like, are there a lot of accolades that come along with it, like traveling the world and meeting new people and eating new food where you go, which is part of my favorite thing.
Yeah. Don't try the Dutch food, man.
But it's just, I forget where I'm going with this amount of tangent, but it's just doing it for me and for my band, and it's taken us to the ends of the earth, and it's been amazing. So I just keep it up.
Sorry, do you mind a few minutes more? Is that
sure.
okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm curious. you mentioned in the beginning, we wrote also with Nick already. I know how invested he is in melody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in harmony. And how did that go? I mean, or was his role small? Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, what do you mean? Like,
the writing process, like when
well,
Nick.
we're kind of still in the writing process. I mean, honestly, I've been writing for the past, for the new record, like since Hushed and Grim, even before Hushed and Grim was finished, I still had extra songs. And then I just keep writing more and more and more. So now we've got 20 some ideas. And we've had a lot of, cause I own a studio as well, not just the one in my basement, but I have a proper studio. So we'll demo the stuff at my house and we bring it to my studio with my engineer. And then we bring in Nick and Joan, the keyboard player, and we start jamming the song and say, you want to add something? Please add whatever you want in here. And it's only been a slow kind of process because, you take one song a day and you've got 20 songs. It's taken 20 days and we've been touring and we've been busy and we're in a good place though. Like, I feel like the stuff that I've written, mostly Braun and me, is like it's really good. It still needs like the touch of the other guys. But there's also this whole new songs that like Nick is bringing in, like, hey, I got this whole song. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is great. So it's a combination of both. It won't be until the next record after this one, I think, where it really be more of a kind of more Nick being in there, which, I mean, he's going to be in the new record for sure, yes. But he's writing like crazy. I'm writing like crazy. It's like a race. I don't know, not a race, but not a competition either. But we're just so full of energy.
That's good, man.
Yeah, we just don't want to get lost. I'm like, let's concentrate on the songs that we had before Nick joined, and get those out with their help.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll be more of a cohesive, like, oh, this is definitely part A is Nick, and part B is Bill, and part C is Braun, and part D is Troy. You know what I mean? It's a little lopsided still because he's only just joined the band, but it's still gonna be fucking awesome. So excited. Everything that we've been demoing is incredible.
Can't wait to see you guys live, man, tonight.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Hey, before we wrap this up, we're still quite fresh off from the moment that Ozzy passed away.
Yeah.
Of course, you played at the festival, the last show he did.
I know, it was amazing.
If we start talking about that, what comes to mind?
It was an emotional concert, and it was wild because everyone from the heavy metal, even more rock, club, everyone was there. Everyone from Sammy Hagar to Steven Tyler. I mean, in Black Sabbath is just like, I was so nervous, but I did not want to. I didn't even think about it or even finish reading the email until like the day before. I didn't even know. I didn't want to know. I just wanted to get out there and be like, okay, what are we doing? Let's do it. Because if I were to think about it, I would be too anxious and anxiety would just be running through my blood. So it was incredible. My wife came with me. We just got to, all the bands played like 15, 20 minutes, which was really a cool idea. You see Metallica play for 20 minutes in the day. Then you see Tool play for 20 minutes. You see Alice in Chains play for 20 minutes. It's like, this is awesome. This is so cool. And everyone was just like a big family, even the crowd, we walk around in the crowd and meeting people. And when Mr. Crowley came on, it was like, oh my God, this is the last time we're going to freaking hear this. It was insane. I mean, it's still seeping into my brain because it's been such a whirlwind because we were just here, or just, when I say here, I mean overseas, a month ago. And we did a tour and then we went home for like a couple of days and went right in the studio and we came right back over here and we've just been hitting it hard. I haven't had a day to sit down, look at my pictures and be like, what? Just remembering the posterity of all those moments. Like, okay, oh yeah, I remember we did this. And yeah, just a lot of things happening. But
and then he passed away.
And then he passed away. Like, it's like he waited for that last moment to do it. And he did great. And it was so emotional and not everyone was crying. And he did the performances. I mean, those guys are not young, but they did it. And it was like, what a send off. It was just perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like when we get picked, I was like, what? How did a little band like us from Georgia get chosen to do this? So like I said before, you know, every day is like, I'm just so humble and happy to be here. And like, you know, all the achievements that Mastodon has done, it could all go away tomorrow. And I've always thought like that, like this could all end tomorrow. So just be happy you have today. And that's basically the way I look at AA, you know, and drinking. It's like, you only really have today and just make the best of it and have a great time and enjoy it while it lasts.
It's too big of an achievement to say, I'm never going to do this or never. Like,
exactly.
You can, or maybe only the upcoming hour. You can have a little bit of control. You don't really have control anyway, right?
No. So that's what I do. I look at life like that now.
Nice way to wrap this up.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Bill Kelliher, for your time. And listeners also, thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for listening to me ramble on about stuff.